what Charlie Munger taught me about buying businesses. So the first thing that Charlie Munger taught me about buying businesses is, number one, keep a cool head when you're making business decisions. It's so easy to get into the heat of the moment or get too attached to a business acquisition that you end up buying a business which is not even a good business to own. Remember, 90% of the businesses that you're going to look at are not worth acquiring. Not because they're bad businesses in and of themselves, or they're bad businesses for the owner that's currently owning them, but they are bad businesses to buy because they don't fit the criteria of a business that can be bought or sold and value can be transferred over a long period of time to a new owner. So that's why you need to keep a cool head to make sure that when you look at a business, number two, which is his advice, say no quickly. So if you find that this, with a completely cool head, that this particular acquisition opportunity is not a business that can be transferred, the value can't be transferred, then say no to it quickly and move on. That's really, really important that you don't linger, because it can cloud your judgment and you can end up getting attached to an acquisition which is not worth buying. One of the ways that Charlie Munger says that it's easy to say no to businesses, and this is especially true if you're buying a business from a business which is being presented by a broker, that completely ignore the forecast that any brokers or any professionals put in front of you, because those forecasts are normally full of rubbish. So when they produce these forecasts, to show the best outcome that the business can have. If you look at the history of the business, it's probably never produced anywhere close to what the next year is going to produce, because as every single business owner says, that the next year is always going to be the best year in business. But you know that that's a lot of rubbish, and so did Charlie Munger. So whenever I see forecasts from business brokers or anyone who's trying to present a forecast, especially business brokers and accountants and the business owner themselves, I don't even look at them. I said, that's fine, thank you very much for giving it to me, and I don't look at them. I produce my own forecast based on what I know in the marketplace for that business, and also what is achieved over the last 12 months and maybe even the 24 months. So I produce my own forecasts, and the forecasts that I produce, or my team produce I should say, they always stress test. So remember, whenever you produce your own forecasts, make sure you stress test them to ensure that they stand up to scrutiny if the business doesn't perform in the way that you think it might. So ignore all forecasts from all professional advisors, including business brokers and accountants and the business owners themselves. So after you've ignored all of these forecasts presented to you by these professional advisors and you've produced your own, what Charlie Munger says is that you need to go for businesses which are going to be successful over the long term. So they're able to last in the marketplace. So let's say, for example, a business has been around for 20, 25 years. Are they able to be around for the next 20 to 25 years? Because of many reasons, that competitors can't come and take away the market share, or that customers have some sort of affinity to that business. Think of Apple. Apple is the most well-known business in the world, which someone who uses an iPhone, which I do, is never ever going to buy another phone, because they're so locked into that ecosystem or that system of using an iOS software that they're never going to go. And it's very, very difficult to go to another software like Android. So that's why it's important that a business that you buy is able to serve those customers over a long period of time, and therefore it's going to be successful over a long period of time. Now, also you go after the best businesses. This is really important. When I look at a business, or I look at businesses, I identify, do these businesses that I'm going to buy operate in the top 30% of businesses within that industry? Now I look at the top 20%. But when I started, it was the top 30%. But as you buy more and more businesses, then it goes from, there's no point buying businesses which are not producing either the same or more than what your business is currently producing. Now, there could be instances that you could buy a business which is smaller than yours, but there are many reasons why you would do that. But generally speaking, you wouldn't. And that's why Charlie Munger says is that go after the best businesses in the marketplace. And again, that's why I say the top 30%, top 20% of businesses, go after them. Now, how do you identify that? You obviously need to know your marketplace. You need to do the research and get the data. And that's what we focus on when we're doing acquisitions, either for myself or for my clients when I'm advising them. Now, how does Charlie Munger say that you identify businesses that's going to be successful over the long term? Number one, is that that business should hold some sort of brand presence in the mind of the consumer. So the consumer of that business, whether it's another business, it could be a B2B business, it could be a consumer business, wherever it may be, but in the mind of that consumer, in the mind of that customer of that business, they think that this brand is one of the best businesses to transact with, to ensure that I get what I need, whether it's a product or a service. Now, if a business can produce that effect in the mind of a consumer, then that is something that Charlie Munger says you should ultimately go for, because it's going to be very difficult to remove that brand. Something needs to go wrong very badly for then that brand to be replaced by another brand in the mind of a consumer. So Charlie Munger says try to identify those businesses which have a brand presence in the mind of a consumer. Now, when it comes down to small to medium-sized business acquisitions, how does that work? That works because you could have a localized brand presence. So it could be really strong. Think of restaurants. Restaurants are the best examples here. You have a restaurant and in a local area, and that restaurant is known for serving the best curry, or serving the best Chinese, or serving the best Italian, wherever it may be. But that is the restaurant to go for if you want Italian. That is the restaurant you want to go for if you want Indian. That's the best restaurant to go for if you want Chinese. So it's got that presence in the mind of the consumer. And therefore, it's very difficult for the consumer to go to other businesses. Remember, it's so hard in the consumer's mind to go to a new business. It's very easy to make the safe choice, to carry on going to the same business that you've been going to previously. And that's what Charlie Munger likes, and of course Warren Buffett as well. But in this video, we're talking about Charlie Munger. That is the place to buy. That is the place that's going to get my customer as a consumer. So the brand has affinity in the mind of the consumer. The other way that Charlie Munger identifies a business which is going to be successful over the long term is that it provides long-term value to the customer. Meaning that the business is able to transact, or the consumer is able to transact with the business multiple times for the same product or service. Now, it could be very frequently that you buy it. So for example, if you're buying food, or you're buying, let's say milk you need to buy every other day, whatever it may be. So you buy milk and you go to that shop and you're going to buy milk. Why? Because it's cheap, it's got good quality milk, it's not bad milk, very rarely does it go off. So that's why you buy milk from that business all the time, or that particular brand. Or it could be over long. Let's say, for example, you are buying glasses. Let's say you wear glasses, right? So you are only going to buy glasses maybe every 2 years, every 3 years. I don't wear glasses, so I don't know. But it's a good example because you need to replace your glasses because they might break. Or maybe your eyesight gets worse, so therefore you need to change your prescription. And that's when they're going to go, right, I'm going to go to that optician's to get my glasses. And therefore, it's got in the mind of the business. So it's transacting. The customer is transacting with that business again and again and again. Whether it's frequently or whether it's over a longer period of time, they can get long-term business from a customer. And one of the other things that Charlie Munger says, which will be the last piece of advice for this video, is that sometimes it pays to pay to get a great business. What does that mean? So we all like a great bargain when we're making an investment, and we all want to pay the cheapest price that we can for a good business. But don't let a great business slip through your fingers because you're unwilling to pay a little bit more to get it under your portfolio, within one of your portfolio companies. So some people, they're going to have a ceiling that they can't pay over a certain amount. Now that may be, of course, if it's because you can't raise that much money from investors or lenders, or you don't have that much cash yourself, that's a different story. But if you have the money and you know that that business doesn't come around onto the marketplace very often, meaning that type of business doesn't come around onto the marketplace very often, and you're probably going to have to wait 5 to 10 years before another business like that comes on the marketplace, pay a little bit extra to get that business under your belt. Why? Because the long-term gains that you're going to make from the ownership of that business is going to outweigh you paying that little bit more. They always give the example of See's Candy. When I say they, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, both of them will always give the same example. See's Candy, they said that if the seller had even asked for just 10,000 more, they were paying millions for the business. So if the seller just had asked for 10,000 more, they would have walked away from See's Candy. But over a long period of time, See's Candy has returned 1.5 billion back to Berkshire Hathaway over the time of ownership. So that taught them that sometimes it pays to pay a little bit more for a business which is exclusive and doesn't come out onto the marketplace very often. And that's what I've learned as well. Very recently, I purchased a business which is very high quality. It's top 10% business within the industry. And we purchased it for a price which we were paying. In fact, we paid a great price for the business, but it was a little bit more than our baseline price, I should say, right? But we ended up paying that. When they negotiated and we said, right, that's fine, no problem. We want it, we'll go for it. We're going to pay you that money. But even if it was priced higher than what we paid for it, we still would have went for it. Why? Because it's a top 10% business, and those businesses almost never come onto the marketplace. So if you have a business which is a great business and it's come in front of you and they are willing to sell it to you, but you have to pay a little bit extra, whether it's a 1% premium, 2% premium, 3% premium, 5% premium, pay that premium, because you never know when that business opportunity or a business like that is going to come again. So these are some of the things that I learned from Charlie Munger on how to do business acquisitions, and it goes into the pot of the value acquisition. Of course, there are many other things from other people like Peter Lynch and Warren Buffett and Bill Ackman that I sort of adapt and put all together to ensure that when we do business acquisitions, number one, we do acquisitions of great businesses, it's easy to raise finance for them, and we pay good prices for them, and they're long-term great prospects. This all goes into the value acquisition formula, and we go and do fantastic acquisitions both for myself and my clients. So if you want to know more about value acquisitions, go ahead and watch this video, but also carry on watching other videos on the channel. And there's a link in the description which you can go into in-depth training on the value acquisition.